I thought it would be worthwhile because people say I'm not old, that we should talk about our grandparents and our great-grandparents because we're that old, okay?
Yes.
So my sister Mary went and had one of these DNA tests. And you know what I'm saying, talking about these DNA tests? That tells where you came from, who you are, and we don't believe it all, but it does sort of fit that I found out about us. Number one, I'm just gonna pass this, I'm not gonna show everybody, but it looks like we're from Northern Europe, pretty much, except that we're also from Northern Africa. Only 3% from Northern Africa.
Yes, right.
Algeria,
Anything is a
Egypt,
possibility.
anything's a possibility. So this is what my sister Mary found.
You're doing a fine job.
Thank you. This is what my sister Mary found. That we're 96.9% from
I'm
Europe.
Mary Kay.
96.9%. We're 61. You gotta keep it down, Mary Kay.
Hey, wait a minute. I can talk louder than you.
All right. We're 61% Irish Scottish. I don't think there's a drop of Scottish blood in us. But anyway, 61% Irish Scottish, 12.6% Scandinavian, which I will prove that to you and my brother in a minute. We're 19.9% from Greece.
Oh my.
How can that be? Who snuck
It's
into
close.
the family? We don't know. We don't know. And then there were 3.1% Africa. So I went back, I had an aunt, her name was Dorothy Couselman. And she is dead now, but she used to send me emails and she would say, this is where this person came from, and this is why you are what you are.
But she was a little crazy.
Now we know.
Oh, you got one of those.
Anyway, we found that on my father's side, there was a Michael and Catherine O'Donnell. Her name was Dooley, right?
Right,
And they came out of Ireland. They probably came out of Ireland in 1890, I figured.
something like that.
Right around 1890. Now, things weren't as bad in 1890 when you were taking the ships over as they were in 1850.
Right.
When some other relatives came over. In 1850, it could take you up to 4 months to come over to this country. 3 or 4 months. And about 19% of the people died in 1850 that came over. But anyway, the Dooleys, so we know about them. My father was born in 1910, and that was before Babe Ruth hit his 60 home runs in 1927. So that side, we're Irish. We got it. But the other side is really messy. I mean, really messy.
Now, which side is the Dooley?
The Dooleys are on my father's side, the Irish side, okay? It's the Dooleys and the O'Donnells, okay? And I could talk more about them, like as an example, our uncle was in World War II. He was a sergeant, and he was a tough hombre, just like my brother Jeff, who passed away. He was really tough, but he survived in the war, but we won't go through that. On my mother's side, the great-grandparents came over, and most of them came over in the 1850s. A guy by the name of August Ernst came over about 1850, and he married a woman by the name of Anna Klein, K-L-I-N-E. I used to kid my father and say it was K-L-E-I-N because that's a Jewish name.
Right.
He didn't like it. And I had to put in the newspaper one time at work that we were part Jewish. He went crazy. But my wife, my deceased wife, she did have a Goldman in her background. So anyway,
That could be true. That
So-
could be Irish too.
so these people came over in 1850. They had to come over on the clipper ships. The people don't know that they ran the clipper ships for about 30 years, right around the 1850s. And I knew a man that was on the clipper ships. Rita and I used to go down and volunteer down at the Sisters of the Poor in the 1980s, early 80s. I met a guy who was actually on the clipper ships, and he told me how it was. He signed up. He had to stay on that ship for 2 years in a little tiny box. That's where he lived. And they only got fruit once in 3 or 4 months. So they didn't get diseased. It was horrible. But anyway, these relatives are on the clipper ships, no question about it. And so that was the father. He was on the clipper ships. The mother, on my mother's side, there was the family was called the Smullins, and he came from Ireland when he was 5 years old. So that's another Irish connection, pretty good. And I figure that he came in the early 1800s, which is really interesting to me. And his wife's name was Schroeder, and my crazy aunt said she was from Belgium. I don't know that that's important to Maureen. Is she still here? I guess nobody cares. But anyway, I was thinking about this, and I said, now, how can we be 20% Greek unless it came from Schroeder?
Oh,
No.
that would be, I'd love that.
You're 20% Greek?
That's it.
I'd love it.
I know it. Okay. Anyway, these people that came from Belgium, their name is from East Prussia, and they were leather makers. One of their jobs was leather makers, and the other one was people that brewed beer. And I
Like
figured
those people.
that fits me perfectly, right? Brewmaster. And in fact, in our town, what do we make, Mel? Leather. Leather goods. So it all makes sense. The guy came out of,
We were the glove capital of the world.
we were the glove capital of the world.
And where was that?
So what does all this tell you? And I stand up here, does it make any difference?
Still,
What it means is, I'm not all Irish. I thought I was.
you're not all there.
So, and he is all Irish, right?
I do not admit to anything. And I'll turn it against me.
So the whole point of this whole thing is, there is no point, but we thank our grandparents who came over here, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. How could I ever
That's
get to
right, and
75
wouldn't we
years old?
miss you?
And with that, we're listening to the music.
Brian,
Brian, your question.
All right.
Brian.
we may be related.
I may
My aunt, Mary O'Donnell.
You're kidding.
Yes, Willie O'Donnell.
I knew there was some reason I liked you.
I may be related.
You-
My grandfather was Charlie O'Donnell
You're
from
kidding.
Donegal.
From Donegal.
That's the
We were
fun.
from County Mayo, but it's right next to it.
No, you were not.
We have
You were not male.
Oh, we're from Donegal.
You were from
Mayo and County
Donegal.
Court.
Come on.
Mayo and Court.
We don't care where you're from, we love you.
All right.
He looks a little bit like Manassas.
Like who?
Yes, the drink type thing. Look a little, does he not?
Johnny Man?